I want everybody to be aware of a couple of things. You can't trust the media. You just can't trust it. A number of people don't even watch the news, and that's a good thing. And a lot of a few more people rather, don't even have televisions in their home. Everybody's going flat screen television crazy. Well, I haven't. But a number of people just don't watch television anymore because there's so much filth and lies on television. And the news is perhaps the most criminal of all. I mean, it's just absolute major corporations, and the news people are spokespersons for the major corporation. I mean, it's like you sit there and you get indoctrinated, and the indoctrination has been, for instance, here, let me give an example of what I'm talking about. NBC News is owned by General Electric. The president is Jeffrey Immelt, of the chairman of the president of General Electric. So NBC News is owned by a major corporation in America, General Electric. Fox News is now owned in part by Saudi Arabian billionaire Alwaleed bin Talal. So one of the things that we noticed during the campaign, that NBC News, that also owns MSNBC, which is the cable version of the non-cable version of NBC News, all owned by General Electric. The MSNBC and Chris Matthews and Keith Olbermann and Rachel Maddow now, they work for MSNBC, and they are, I mean, it's just like wide open propaganda for Obama. They're not even going to try to be partial. Everybody knows that, right? And the same thing with NBC News. Every night during the campaign, every day during the campaign, full support of Obama, owned by General Electric, because General Electric stood to gain billions of dollars in contracts from an Obama presidency, and they have got, now that Fox News is owned in part, second largest shareholder, by Alwaleed bin Talal, then Islamic influence is now influencing. Bill O'Reilly now speaks for Islam. And I suspect, and this will be a good thing, I suspect that pretty soon, those slutty women, especially Lis Wiehl, is she slutty if I've ever seen her? And there are a couple of others as well that are just really floozy, that are on Fox. At some point, probably, Alwaleed bin Talal and the Islamic influence will probably push those women to the curb. And then you got a man who's very overtly homosexual. I think his name is Lamont. Dr. Lamont, anybody can tell he's a very, very overtly homosexual. Maybe the good thing that the ownership of Fox News by the Islamic influence will be to get rid of that homosexual man and those floozy women. But having said that, Bill O'Reilly, you think, and we all thought, that the statements by Chris Matthews were over the top. They certainly didn't represent the character of being, at the very least, being fair about reporting and objective. And so when Chris Matthews and Keith Olbermann and all that crowd at NBC and Brian Williams, but now look at this. Bill O'Reilly is overtly leading the charge for Obama. He calls it fair and balanced. Well, but everybody knows he's leading the charge, because this is not Bill O'Reilly's nature to be even. I don't care if it's Obama, whether it's Louis Armstrong. It's not Bill O'Reilly's nature to act and speak as he does, but because for whatever reason, I don't know whether it's the power of the devil himself that have got people watching O'Reilly, but now he is the chief spokesman for Muslim, for Islam. Please listen to me. Please listen to me. O'Reilly is the chief spokesman for Islam. Now, Hannity, as you may have noticed, two people I've allowed to get away with right now. One is Hannity, and the other is Michael Steele. I've not got neither. I'm going to get on them. Don't worry about it. But now Glenn Beck is holding classrooms with people sitting around, and I guess the things he's talking about are interesting if you've not very well read, if you're just coming to the political process. And he's a very interesting teacher. Very interesting, Glenn Beck. He's a very good teacher. But you know, the old preacher, what the preacher said about a brick, you know, you can use a brick to build a building, or you can use a brick to hit somebody across the head with it. Glenn Beck can use his teaching to uplift, or he can use his teaching to entertain. He's a very good teacher. Use that chalk. I use a chalkboard too. Pretty soon you're going to see me on chalkboard as well. Because I use a chalkboard. Actually, I use other kind of, I wouldn't go chalkboard route, but I use that kind of a scenario with teaching. At any rate, here's the deal. Glenn Beck, Sean Hannity, Greta Van Susteren, Bill O'Reilly now are the mouthpieces for Islamic influence into the American political scene. And just like Rachel Maddow and Chris Matthews and Keith Olbermann are the mouthpieces for General Electric. And by the way, General Electric, if they're doing very well now because Obama's giving them plenty. And when this whole business of green energy, that's all General Electric. When you see him out there campaigning like he is today down in Savannah, green energy, guess who makes green energy refrigerators, green energy stoves, green energy air conditioning, green energy dishwashers, green energy light bulbs, green energy apple. Guess who makes all of that? And guess who has influence in green energy items to go into building products such as airplanes? General Electric also owns major aircraft manufacturing engines. General Electric makes aircraft engines not only for private and use, but for commercial use and military use. So when you see Obama out there talking about green energy, it sounds wonderful and sounds good for those of us who think that somehow or another the environment is under some global warming spell. But the real deal is Obama is out there as a salesman now for General Electric, promoting their product. When you watch the news, you have to understand, please sit down before Glenn Beck and recognize that what he's really leading you to is an investigation of the political system. And pretty soon he's going to start weaving in Islamic tenets, Islamic ideas, once he fully and completely destroys your confidence in the American system. It's coming. Or if he doesn't bring it, long as he does a good job of confusing you about the political parties that presently now exist. And Bill O'Reilly, my friend O'Reilly is now, he's just absolutely #1 salesman for Islamic understanding, for Islamic power, for Islamic. Bill O'Reilly is #1 salesman for Islamic influence in America today, Islamic politics, Islamic religion. And Chris Matthews is #1 salesman for General Electric. And General Electric stock is going, they are right now, they own most of the green contracts and will get most of it. And that's how it is. Well, I shouldn't say Chris Matthews, #1 said, Obama in his green policies, green energy policies, is nothing more than him schlepping for General Electric. And my friends, that's how it is today. And everybody's getting money and you're paying the freight, but some of y'all are unemployed. General Electric, by the way, most of this manufacturing is done somewhere else other than the industrial belt in Pennsylvania all the way over to Iowa. Years ago, in middle America, all that's gone. Allah, that's what God said. That's what God said.